beat every man for 5 straight years and became a Hong Kong superstar. When she came home, Hollywood gave her opportunities to guys who couldn't throw a real punch. What happened next should make your blood boil. In 1983, a 13-year-old girl from Scranton, Pennsylvania, walked into her first Tang Soo Do class as the only female in a room full of boys and men. She felt completely uncoordinated, couldn't throw a proper punch, and struggled with the basic techniques that seemed effortless for everyone else. Most people would have quit. Cynthia Rothrock decided to stay. What happened next reads like fiction. Between 1981 and 1985, Rothrock entered over 100 martial arts tournaments. The catch? There were no women's divisions. She competed directly against men and achieved what seemed impossible: 32 first-place finishes in forms, 12 victories in weapons competition, and 5 world championship titles. Her record remained undefeated for 5 straight years. Her signature weapon became the hook swords, twin blades that could lock together, which she wielded with such speed and precision that audiences were left stunned. In 1983, Black Belt magazine made her the first woman ever to appear on their cover. That same year, scouts from Golden Harvest, the legendary Hong Kong production company, arrived in California searching for the next Bruce Lee. Director Corey Yuen attended the martial arts exhibition in Los Angeles looking for a male star to fill that void. Then Rothrock took the floor. She demonstrated her techniques, executed sparring sequences, and finally pulled out her hook swords. As she connected them and began her routine, the blades moved so fast they generated enough force to send chunks of plaster falling from the ceiling. Every plan about finding a male replacement for Bruce Lee evaporated in that moment. 2 years later, Rothrock found herself in Hong Kong filming Yes, Madam alongside Michelle Yeoh, who was also making her first major action film. Rothrock played a character originally written for a male actor, a Bruce Lee type, that the filmmakers rewrote specifically for her. When Yes, Madam hit theaters, it shattered box office records. The girl from Scranton had become a massive star in one of the world's most demanding film markets. But between her first and second Hong Kong films, disaster struck. During training, Rothrock tore her ACL completely. Doctors recommended immediate reconstructive surgery and months of recovery. She refused. Looking at her filming schedule and the opportunity she'd spent her entire life working toward, she made a decision that baffled medical professionals. She was going back to work. Normally, a torn ACL causes the kneecap to dislocate repeatedly, making it nearly impossible to walk normally, let alone perform acrobatic martial arts. But when doctors examined Rothrock's leg, they discovered something remarkable. Her quadriceps and hamstrings had become so powerful through years of training that they were literally holding her kneecap in place without the ligament. Her body had compensated for a career-ending injury through sheer conditioning. She went on to film some of the most demanding action sequences of her career on a destroyed knee. As of 2012, she still hadn't had reconstructive surgery. The work she produced in Hong Kong became legendary. In Righting Wrongs, she faced off against real-life friend Karen Shepard in what Rothrock would later call the best fight between 2 women ever captured on film. The original ending had her character dying brutally, but when test audiences saw it, they revolted. They refused to accept it. The filmmakers had to bring Rothrock back for reshoots and change the ending because fans demanded her survival. For 3 years, she made 7 films in Hong Kong and achieved something incredibly rare. She became a genuine star there before achieving success in her home country, something Western performers almost never accomplished. Then came 1988 and her return to America. This is where the story takes its most frustrating turn. Despite proving herself in Hong Kong, despite skills that matched or exceeded male action stars, Hollywood kept her at arm's length. She made Martial Law, China O'Brien and its sequel, Lady Dragon, Tiger Claws, and Undefeatable. The direct-to-video market was exploding, and Rothrock found steady work, eventually building a filmography exceeding 60 films. But here's the part that should make anyone furious. Arnold Schwarzenegger was making Terminator films. Jean-Claude Van Damme was getting theatrical releases. Chuck Norris had his franchises. Even Steven Seagal, whose martial arts credentials were questionable at best, was landing bigger opportunities than Rothrock. Reports suggest she nearly worked with Sylvester Stallone on a project that could have changed everything, but it never materialized. The cruel irony? Her films made money. China O'Brien became a cult classic. Undefeatable developed devoted fans. People from Germany to Indonesia knew her name. She could make stadiums erupt in the United States, but those same audiences weren't seeing her films in theaters. After watching other female martial artists fail to replicate Rothrock's success, Hollywood executives made their calculation. Women couldn't lead action films. Rather than recognizing that Rothrock had something genuinely special, they wrote off the entire concept of female action stars. This wasn't some B-movie stunt woman. Cynthia Rothrock possessed an undefeated competition record and 7 black belts. She competed against men and won repeatedly. While Seagal was building a career on questionable claims about his background, Rothrock, who had genuinely earned every credential she held, was relegated to films most people would never see in theaters. In 2016, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dr. Robert Goldman inducted Rothrock into the International Sports Hall of Fame as the first martial artist, male or female, to receive this honor. In March 2024, Black Belt magazine published their list of the most influential women martial artists on the planet. Cynthia Rothrock ranked number 1. The uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Hollywood didn't forget Cynthia Rothrock. They chose not to remember her. She proved what she could do, but the industry wasn't interested in building major films around female martial artists. She earned legitimate credentials most action stars could only dream about, proved herself in one of the most competitive film markets in the world, and built a devoted fan base that still exists decades later. But Hollywood looked at all of that and decided it didn't matter because she was a woman. Rothrock's story exposes a broader pattern in the action film industry, one where authenticity and skill take a back seat to marketable myths, especially when the person involved doesn't fit a narrow gender expectation. At a time when studios were willing to suspend disbelief for male stars with minimal martial arts training, they showed little interest in a woman who actually embodied the discipline, dedication, and mastery those films claimed to celebrate. Instead of positioning her as a leading icon, Hollywood quietly pushed her to the margins, despite international success and undeniable talent. What makes this erasure even more striking is how often the industry later claimed there was no audience for female-led action films. Rothrock's career directly contradicts that excuse. Her movies performed well overseas, particularly in Hong Kong, where audiences valued real martial arts ability over image. She trained alongside legends, held her own in demanding productions, and earned respect in an environment far less forgiving than Hollywood sets, yet those achievements were dismissed rather than amplified. Only now, decades later, does mainstream culture seem willing to acknowledge what was ignored. As conversations around representation grow louder, Cynthia Rothrock's legacy stands as both inspiration and indictment. She wasn't ahead of her time because audiences weren't ready. She was ahead of her time because Hollywood wasn't willing. Her recognition today doesn't rewrite the past, but it makes one thing painfully clear. The barrier was never talent. It was bias.